Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have a very interesting topic here for you today. Here's the question. If you're selling a house in New Jersey, do you have to disclose a death or a murder in the house? Michelle Cohan, welcome back.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I know it's kind of a weird topic, right? This is something we actually get asked, and it's a question that comes up, right?
Correct.
All right, so we did a little research. We took our knowledge and we did a little research, and I want to read you guys this real quick. Um, you do need to disclose known material defects in the house, but technically, if someone died in the house or was murdered in the house, is that a material defect? So this particular website we stumbled on, we don't know this attorney. It's not an endorsement for him. However, there is a quote on this in this article that says, houses are not haunted. We are haunted. And regardless of the architecture with which we surround ourselves, our ghosts stay with us until we ourselves are ghosts. That's not open for debate. I'm not well versed at ghosts. I don't know if you are, Michelle, but I'm not going to talk about ghosts. But New Jersey courts has held that murders, deaths, and hauntings are not material defects,
Correct.
but rather psychological impairments. So there's a difference there, right? So like there's something different. There's a difference between something that happens to somebody in the house and is that separate from the house, right? I think that's what they're saying here from a court standpoint and trying to
Right.
define what this is, right?
I think
Yeah.
that brought up the fact of something that was a material defect, unfortunately killed somebody. So that's the difference than just somebody expiring in the home.
Yes. So we've had a lot of different situations over the years in real estate, like firsthand. So I'll give you a few examples, right? So I had a scenario earlier this year helping an estate sell a property, and uh, at some point the buyer's agent asked me as a seller's agent, did anyone pass away in the house? I asked the executor, who was the son of the deceased, and he said, yes, mom passed away peacefully in the house. I said, okay, thanks for letting me know. And I passed that information along. The buyer wanted to know, so we shared that information, disclose everything we know. We had one very sadly on the team about a year or so ago where unfortunately a teenager committed suicide in the house. And we were told by legal counsel that that was not something that had to be proactively disclosed.
Correct.
However, we also learned through this process that if the death of a person in the house was connected to something to do with the condition of the house, then it has to be disclosed, right? There's an example of toxic mold.
Right.
For example, right, if toxic mold contributed to the death of someone in the home, then the toxic mold has to be disclosed.
Yeah.
Not the death, actually. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of like interrelated. I don't know how you separate that, but technically it does. There was a court case, I think, on the same website that we were looking at that also referenced there's some kind of lawsuit that if somebody that there was a child that was killed due to an elevator accident in this particular home, and there was some kind of lawsuit that ensued, and what they found was the death of the child was not the failure to disclose, but the seller had a failure to disclose the defective elevator.
Correct.
Right? Right. I mean, we've talked about this before. When in doubt, disclose. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You had an estate recently, right? That you
Yes,
represented the seller.
I did. I was on the seller side, and unfortunately, the gentleman passed away. I knew that the gentleman didn't pass away in the home, but was asked the question. But I felt a little uncomfortable to either answer nay or yay. I think that's kind of personal for the family, and I guess it's not something you have to disclose, so I really didn't. I kinda said, "I'm not 100% sure."
It's a great question that it comes up,
Yeah,
right? Because then I think because then there's like different kinds of humans, right? So there's what are we legally obligated to disclose
right,
as licensed real estate agents, and then there are different types of buyers, right? Some buyers couldn't care less. So like in the example with the
right,
estate where mom was elderly and she passed away peacefully in her own home, that buyer didn't care. It like made no difference. But there are situations, because I know I've worked with buyers like that
yeah,
over the years, where they don't, if there's
good.
any
Yeah,
word that someone passed away, they don't want the house.
yeah,
And that's more spiritual and
right,
psychological, right? You can
right.
argue. So, I mean, I would always disclose what I know or find out the answer and then disclose if I'm not sure.
Mm,
But everybody's different, right? We're all programmed differently, and we have different things that kind of freak us out. And I
yeah,
remember vividly, asking different buyers over the years that I was helping shop, and what if the house is 50 years old and the current owner has it 10, and they say no one ever passed away in the
mm,
house. But does it matter to that buyer prior to that?
right.
Because we'll never get that answer, right?
I mean, it's some of that would also be public knowledge, so it's part of due diligence to find out yourself also, if that's part of what really make your decision in order to buy the house.
Well, when you say public knowledge, so let's taking that example of we're helping a buyer try to buy a house today. The current owners of that particular house have owned it for 10 years. The house is 50 years old. How do you find out like what could have been, you know, prior
Correct.
to
If they die in the house, if they die in a home, you don't know. So at that
that?
point,
We don't know,
yeah,
right? We don't know. So guys, I think this topic's a little heavy, right? So we're not going to make an excessively long video here. The idea here is, I mean, of course, it's always disclose what we know, right? When in doubt, we will disclose, but there's not necessarily a legal obligation to
correct.
disclose something that is not detrimental to the buyer, physically detrimental.
Physically, yeah.
Psychologically,
Mentally
is
is different.
yeah, totally different. So as always, thank you for watching. Please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Please comment below if you're watching us on YouTube. And if we can help you purchase or sell a home here in Southern New Jersey or anywhere in the United States, reach out. We'd love to help. Michelle, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you.